All right, hello everyone. This is the first time actually doing a virtual sit down and chat. So as I mentioned in my first vlog to everyone, I intend to do more of these conversational, discussions and have open and honest conversations. And I got some great feedback from my first vlog, and I really wanted to do more of these chats. Unfortunately, because of the obvious COVID-19, we can't do these in person. We're being smart. We're what do you call it? Social distancing. That's what we're doing right now. But I did reach out to Anuj, who I have with me. Hi, Anuj.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Anuj is a dear friend of mine. We have worked on so many different initiatives and events. We've emceed a bunch of things. We did a short stint on radio a little bit. And we're both doing amazing things. And I think it was something that just came to mind that I really wanted to have a chat with Anuj and hear his perspective on fatherhood. I feel like we talk a lot about moms and how we talk about it, but probably not enough. But we also need to remember that dads are implicated by parenthood as well, right? And so you were the first person that came to mind, Anuj. I know because we can have honest conversations, and we some controversial ones as well. I think we touched on.
For sure, for sure.
So I thought, hey, why not? Why not hear it from you? And I really also want to focus on hearing more from South Asian dads and dads of color, and because perspectives are something, right? They tell a story, they give a different angle, and I think it's so important to hear everyone's story. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Well, first off, I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity because sometimes it's these windows of kind of sharing your 2 cents is doesn't happen often, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I mean, what you're gonna kind of hear from me today is my perspective. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's whether you're a mom or or a dad, there is no one way to do things. It's just sometimes whether regardless of the individual, following your gut and
Mm-hmm.
essentially just survive it, I guess, is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. It's all about survival
For
mode.
sure, for sure, for sure.
So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself, when you became a dad, maybe talk a little about your lovely wife. She's awesome.
Thank you, thank you. Well, yeah, sure. Been with my wife for about 16 years, but married for almost 12 years. The thought of children, we kind of discussed that. You know what? We got married a little bit earlier. I mean, I got married at 27 years old. Compared to a lot of my friends, a lot of them were like, "Yeah, you're crazy." But I was like, "Yeah, but you know what? I kind of want to live life. I want to
Yeah,
party with my wife. I want to just have fun, travel."
yeah,
And I guess when the conversation of having kids came, it was like, "Okay, you know what? I think we've traveled out. I think we've put through enough people's." Uh, Parents basically putting their kids through university, going to various adult establishments.
hmm,
I think it's time we bunker down, save some money, and you know what? Let's start the next chapter. So yeah, lo and behold, about 8 years ago, I had that conversation and um, had our first kid, lovely boy, 7 years old today,
hmm,
and it was crazy to kind of start off with. My oldest son Avi was born with acid reflux, so it was kind of crazy in the early stages because he was kind of small when he was born.
yeah,
But essentially, anytime Sharina kind of fed him, he'd puke. It'd be like she'd be sometimes starting from scratch.
yeah,
And I guess from my accounts of things was like, I mean, again, I'm going to touch a little touchy subject right here: sleep training versus non-sleep training. Again, Shrin and I were the type that we were like, you know what, it's not for us, right? And again, so it was one of those things when we first had Avi. Again, not being a good sleeper, not being a good eater. Call it my stubbornness. But I said,
hmm,
okay, babe, I'm going to stay in the same room as you.
hmm,
And she's like, no, no, listen, it's all good. And I said, no, you know what? We're in this together. She's like,
hmm,
well, look, he's going to get up. And I said, that's for me to deal with.
yeah,
So it was, like I said, it was tough, the feeding and stuff like that. And, sometimes kind of seeing the frustrations of like, Shrina would feed him and then like he'd throw up and she'd start again. And like, I just kind of felt like, is though I didn't have that direct connection with him in terms of, I mean, like when a mom's feeding, it's not like the dad can kind of really do much other than try to be that moral support. But,
Yeah.
to me, it was kind of important that, I kind of wanted to be there.
Yeah.
But again, like I guess in retrospect, wish I had a little more sleep. But some nights I was operating on like 2 hours of sleep,
Yeah.
or sometimes less. But again, that's something I chose. So
No,
yeah,
it's great. And you know what? I think it's really important to hear that, because I think a lot, like, this is just
right,
my sort of observation. I think a lot of dads do, wake up with
right,
their spouses. They do, they may do the burping, they may do the getting the bottle ready, they
right,
may do the changing of the diaper.
right.
And sometimes we forget that, right? Because that's a big load off of our shoulders, being the
Yeah,
moms, right?
for sure.
I actually kind of want to rewind back a little bit too, because I just want to hear your take on, like, how was it? Because I mean, like, the first child. I mean, any child is a blessing, and of course, the first one is just like an amazing experience, right?
Right, absolutely.
But you're also scared, right? You're scared shitless of like what's to come,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
And I know, coming from a mom's perspective, like, I loved my pregnancy. I loved, like, going to the appointments, but every single time, like, obviously going to the appointment, like, I had a bit of anxiety, right? You're
Right.
always anxious, right?
Yep, for sure.
And I just want to know, like, did you ever have those feelings, or did you ever have those moments of, is everything going okay? Like, how are we doing? How is baby doing? I want to hear your thoughts
Yeah,
on that.
it's. I think for all dads, like This is one thing I can say. I think all dads do have those things.
Mhm.
It's just that comes down to the stigma of, will a dad actually admit it?
Mm.
So I'll actually come out and say, yeah, you know what? I had those kind of anxiety moments. So
Mhm.
a couple times I'm sure Serena wanted to hit me because I was like, "Are you okay? You need something?" And she's like, stop. Like, don't
Yeah.
try to bubble wrap me and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you a funny story. One winter, rock hit our car, so we had to change the windshield of one of our cars, and it
Mhm.
was really snowy and stuff, right?
Mhm.
And I kind of told Shrina, I was like, listen, let me walk you to your seat, because again, selfish little joke here. Center of gravity of your spouse is not necessarily the greatest as
It's true.
right?
It's scientifically proven. That's
Yeah,
fair.
for sure, for sure. So I said, listen, let me help you to the car,
Yeah.
and she was like, no, I got this. So I said, okay, fine, pick your battles, right? So I
Mhm.
kind of walked to my side of the car to get in, and I'm like, where did Trina go? Trina fell,
Oh no.
right? So,
Oh
but
no.
it was again my anxiety. I was like, I told you. But you know what? Then we just kind of stopped and laughed at it,
Yeah.
because you know what, like in certain cases that's going to happen. But
Mhm.
it just kind of got to show that there are certain things that will always kind of, like, I guess it's weird that, like, I'm gonna ask you this, like,
Mhm.
you thought you knew what tired was before you had kids, and then you
Such
have
an understatement.
it is, but you realize
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
realize that, right?
Yeah.
And that you have other layers, and I felt like we got that. I got to that as well, and
Mhm.
kind of fast forward, once again, Avi was still a really bad sleeper, really bad eater. Again, reflux, this, that.
Yeah.
But we were like, you know what? Maybe we should decide to have kid too.
Yeah.
So, fast forward, 22 months. Again, we didn't sleep train. Avi wasn't the best sleeper. At times he was kind of co-sleeping because, again, it's survival.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
it's a decision
You
that we
gotta
kind of
do
made.
what you gotta do. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, you know what? 22 months later, outcomes are of, same thing is like having, I'll be kind of still being in diapers, having a newborn, even like it was for me, because I was 2 years of kind of being sleep deprived,
Yeah.
still working,
Yeah.
DJing,
Yeah.
doing radio, like still doing my extracurriculars.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like sometimes I was like, okay, which diaper, which I'm
Yeah.
putting on what
You're
kid?
foggy. Your brain's foggy.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But I would say it made me a stronger person in terms of being able to kind of appreciate that, listen, like curveballs are going to happen. You're going to
Mhm.
hit this, that, the other, but you really got to stick together. And that's, I don't know, that was kind of been my moral of all of it, was kind of sticking together through all that.
Mhm.
So.
Mhm. No, that's really good to hear. And how would you say your support system was? Like, did you? I know, like, sometimes a lot of attention goes to the baby, right?
Right,
Like,
right,
how's baby? We want to hold baby. How's baby doing?
right.
And moms get forgotten sometimes,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I'm sure dads kind of also kind of feel that way too. So how was your support system?
I mean, you know what? I think we had a pretty good support system, but again, God bless our parents, but sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming. I
Yeah.
mean, like it was one of those things that like I kind of had to have a conversation with like the parents to say, listen, like we need to fall to also learn, and it's the love and support that we got, which was fantastic, but also sometimes it was overwhelming because it was kind of
Mhm.
like, listen, I need a second to think myself, right? And because like advice is great, but you have to be sometimes ready for it. You know, like, but you mentioned the word foggy, not foggy to actually take it in and process it and decide, okay, you know what, I kind of want to go that route.
Yeah.
And so that's, so I would say support is great, but again, don't think that just because someone has support, it's easy, because again, with that support comes other, not, I wouldn't say issues, but I'm going to say issues with like
Yeah.
trying to balance
That's right.
and trying to establish like your own footing, right? I mean, the way your parents may have raised you, the way your parents, your in-laws may have raised your husband. It's
Mhm.
not to say that there were shitty ideals. Absolutely
Mhm.
not. I mean, same thing. Survival. They did what they
Yeah.
had to do.
Yeah.
But does it mean that's something that you and your spouse would share? Maybe, but maybe
Mhm.
not. And I feel like that's a tough battle for sure.
It definitely is because I mean, you always hear from our parents that like, come on, like we raised you guys and you guys turned out fine,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, for
Which is
sure.
a fair statement. Like, yes, I think, we're doing great, but times have also changed, right? Times evolve. New issues come up.
That's right.
I don't know if sleep training was a common thing back in the day. I don't know if there was like, big discussions and debates over, breastfeeding versus bottle feeding,
Right, right,
cloth diapers versus regular diapers, right? Like
for
there's
sure.
just, and I think it's just because our generation and going forward, we're just so much more exposed to these conversations, right?
Right,
Whether it
right,
be social media, through our friend circle. So I get it. Like it's definitely like, you lean on that support system as much as you can.
right.
But I think it's also like you take in what you can and you pick and choose your battles, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Absolutely. No, that's exactly fair. You have to really be able to pick and choose, because again, if you push your support system away,
yeah,
why would they want to help you? Right?
that's
Because at the same point is they may not be as sleep deprived as you, they may not be as, this, that, the other, but they're
hmm
still taking their time out. Parents or not, it's
yeah,
still like our parents are old. It's not to say that they don't have the same patience that they did
yeah,
when, they were parents, but it's
yeah,
still,
yeah.
it's still something we have to look at as well.
Absolutely. I kind of want to touch on a little bit about postpartum anxiety,
Right.
depression.
Right.
This is something that's important to me in terms of advocating for and making sure, especially within the South Asian community, that we're really talking about this. We're
Right.
really seeking the help that we need, because I think there's still a lot of stigma associated to, just in general, anxiety, depression, and any sort of mental health
Right.
issues that we're facing. So, I've admitted it that I've experienced the anxiety. I think I still am experiencing it. I'm
Right.
finding different ways of coping with it to
Right.
this date. And so I just want to find out from a dad's perspective, like, did you feel any sort of anxiety? Do you still feel it? Do you have any sort of moments? Because I think it's a lot for dads too, right? They welcome in this new baby, but then they're also, they have to go back to work. They have to go back to their normal, right?
That's right. That's right.
And I think it's a lot. And I don't know if you actually get that support from the employer side, right? When it comes to like easing your way and back to work after, just welcoming a newborn. And like you said, you would get up with Straightna, and so you're sleep deprived as well. So I just want to know, like, if, and obviously, like, whatever you're comfortable with
For
sharing
sure.
is
For sure.
totally cool.
Yeah. No. Okay. Well, I mean, like I said, you and I have known each other for a very long time.
Mhm.
I mean, I actually, got pretty sick after, having children. I mean, to kind of rewind, I wasn't in the greatest shape, like in making the right choices before I had kids. I was actually, my weight ballooned, again,
Mhm.
just really sick with lifestyle. I was 280 pounds, and then initially, decided to make a healthy choice because mentally I just felt, even though I was so tired, but I didn't have the energy. So, I decided to go in a fitness route and, lost 75 pounds. And I felt great, but I felt in life, I guess I hit another crater, developed an illness,
Mhm.
which, you know what, I don't know if I had a label to say if it was anxiety. I don't know if I would say I was depressed, but I was in a shitty place. I was in a very dark place in terms of, I just felt like, sometimes things were kind of caving in on me. I kind of took a step away from DJing. I took, a couple steps away, and truthfully, it was a hard bit adjusting, to kids because,
Yeah.
let's be honest, like you can read. It's cute when you have your first kid. You read all
Yeah.
these books, and you're like, you know what? I got in the back of my hand. I'm ready.
Yeah.
But then this other curveballs hit, and you know what? Some people I've kind of talked to said, yeah, maybe all of this has happened because you were sleep deprived or this, that, the other. And you know what? I'm not a person to say, well, yeah, definitively. Like, I mean, I just don't know.
Yeah.
So to say was it anxiety or depression? Again, I don't have a label, but I feel like personally, I got into a pretty dark place.
Okay.
It lasted a couple of years in terms of that. Like, I mean, just was really angry at things and just
Yeah.
kind of essentially just not, like, things weren't positive. I just felt like I had a dark cloud in terms of like just things like, like my health was shitty. Like, I was kind of blowing up with the kids a little bit, maybe not so great with like just things, just because, some of it was affected the medication I was taking and just, just the vigors of life. It just kind of like, it felt that. But again, I just felt that I'd had to kind of weather the storm. And again, having a supportive wife definitely helped there.
Mhm.
Having great kids, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is my account, and not everyone may agree, but I'm not the type to think that just because your kid's small that they don't comprehend, they don't understand stuff. To me, like I think that's hot garbage. But again, I don't speak for every other parent because every parent has their own two cents. But I just felt that in the last 2 years, I personally felt that negative, like that weight kind of off,
Mhm.
my shoulders. I was thinking straight, making right decisions again, and I felt like myself. Um, because, like I said, I can honestly say I was probably a real asshole,
Mhm.
and yeah, and I mean I just think that, again, no title, but
Yeah.
something wasn't right, but
Yeah.
it just got to that point where I was just like, it's enough's enough. I have to do what I need to do for my two kids,
Yeah.
for my wife, for my family. So
Yeah.
that's that's one big thing. I think that was the last couple of years were tough, but I'm in a good place. And
Yeah.
I would say, cheers to anybody who's gone through, like, yourself. You said you've kind of felt, certain things. It's the same thing. Cloudy days happen, but it's the one thing I will say is just look to your little people, look to the support system, look to the people that matter, and I just feel like that will help you through.
Yeah.
So
No, I think you said it really well, and I really appreciate you for sharing that. I think it's hard, right? It's hard to put yourself. It's a very vulnerable state to put yourself in, and so I really do appreciate and thank you for being so open and raw and sharing that. And it's true, right? Like I think as we get older or as we get mature, we really start realizing what's important in our lives and where we want to focus our energies. And I think you nailed it. Like it's looking at your little people, right? Your little humans, the humans
right,
that you brought into this world, and how much joy and how much happiness they bring into our lives, and they really do show us a lot, right? Like you
right,
said, they're little. You think they don't understand, but they're smart cookies.
yeah,
They
exactly,
know and they feel everything that's going on, And I've actually had Amia come to me some days and say, "Mama, why are you so angry? Like, why are you yelling?" Right?
yeah,
And then that's when I sit down and I say, "Oh shit! Like, what am I doing? Why
that's
am
right,
I what's triggering, these sudden outbursts and
Right.
me yelling or whatever, getting upset. And so they put things in perspective for us, right?
Right.
So, and I think another thing that you mentioned is getting that help and making sure that you're feeling okay, right? Because
Right.
there's nothing wrong with getting that help. And I think that's what we need to kind of break down that wall, that it's a bad thing to go and talk to someone, whether it be therapy, whether it be whatever that
For
help
sure.
is that you need. So I think it's very important that we say, hey, no, that's actually a positive thing to do. That
Right.
you're not just doing it for yourself, but you're doing it for the people around you.
Yeah, and I just kind of want to add to that. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
and I think when we all define help, I mean, I think we've in society in general, like we've really pigeoned certain things. When it's help, you have to go talk to, let's say, a doctor, or
Yeah.
if it's help, you have to. And I think my 2 cents is help is what you as a person should define. If
Hmm.
you can go to a best friend, if you could go to your spouse, if you could go, if it is a doctor, there's no, I guess, better or best option. I think
Yeah,
it's what the best option is for you. And I think
exactly.
once you find that and get what you need,
Hmm.
and kind of, I think the biggest thing is, I think you'll kind of agree with this, it's all about coming into terms.
Yeah.
I think once you come into terms of the things, make you angry, make you sad, depressed, anxious, whatever, that is step one of kind of getting into where you want to be, right? To
Hmm.
that, to those sunny days, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. Um, so I do want to, my prelude to all this was, hey, I'm talking to a South Asian dad, right?
Right, right.
Because let's be real. I don't think South Asian dads or dads of color actually have that opportunity to fully share their experiences and
For
their
sure.
challenges. So is there anything honest or raw or close to your heart that you'd like to share? Or, when it comes to fatherhood and your experience so far?
I mean, you know what? It's when you're being a South Asian, and then let's add the cultural there to it, and the
Hmm.
Punjabi culture. Punjabi culture kind of states, drink a lot of alcohol, put your
Yeah.
feet up, and essentially watch your wife do anything.
Yeah.
Um, and basically, pardon the pun, but be a deadbeat,
Yeah.
right? And I'm saying it, I'm not saying that, whatever. That's my 2 cents. That's just the
Yeah.
stereotype of
That's just,
Punjabi,
let's be
right?
real. That's how it's portrayed, right?
That's
So.
right. So, I mean, I will say this though. When I did get married, Sharina said to me point blank, she's like, if you think that's going to be you, I mean, again, I've been a pretty open person. I've been raised by 2 females. I didn't have a father figure in my life, and so essentially, I guess I'm in certain things. I've always been a little more sensitive than the average person, because that was my 4 walls, right?
Mhm.
So, when I got married, she's like, I hope you understand. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I'm like, that's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
but at the same point, and I kind of said to her, I'm not saying there's a role for a male and there's a role for a female, but I think there are certain things you're really good at, regardless of your sex,
Yeah.
and you should do it. It doesn't mean that I can't,
Yeah.
but if you're really good at it, why should I do a shitty job, right? Like, one story, like Shannon and I, like we still laugh about, like, when got married the other day, she's like, why don't you load the dishwasher? And I said to her, I was like, I just don't know how, right? And I was just like kind of being cheeky like that.
Yeah.
And then after I, was kind of sitting with her, and I said, you know why I said that? And she's like, no. I said, look, like, I know you do it better than me. So if I pretend that I don't want to do it, you're going to do it, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I kind of shot myself in the foot in the early days, but at the end of the day, she kind of got a little bit about me too. Again, it's
Yeah.
not about male and female. It's about, like, look, when it comes down to certain things, like, Shreya's got a lot of great ideas, but when it comes to put it to action, right, it's me, right?
Hmm.
And sometimes she'll get so frustrated with me saying, "Hey, Anuj, like, let's sit down and talk about it." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not ready to do that."
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that kind of drives her nuts to this day about me. But it's
Yeah.
just, I'm more the, okay, so what's our timelines? Let's
Yeah.
go. We need to execute this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's the one thing is I would say to, for being a South Asian dad, don't be the stereotype. I think,
Yeah.
but at the same point, I will say dads in general have come a long way.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
we do a lot,
Yeah.
regardless of, skin color, culture, this, that, the other. And I think, it's now the differences between our parents now is get both parents working. We're all working to a different set of ideals than what our parents had, because obviously when they came, it was survival, right? Coming
Hmm.
to a new country, this, that, the other. Where our generation, other generations, more like, yeah, I want the picket fence and then the three cars.
Yeah,
Whereas back then it was, I want a 2-bedroom place with one
whatever
car,
works. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's we have a different set of goals, and we all have to work for it. And I think it's that. And my one thing is, I would say to all dads and to all moms is, you know, it's tough, it's hard, but if you do decide to have children, um, there's a period of time. It's not that your life gets put on hold, but certain things will get put on hold, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, having two kids at 22 months apart, it was shitty the first few years. But now at 7 and 5, it is beautiful, because they're like, okay, mom, dad, we're gonna go play this. We're gonna go play hockey. Shreya and I will look at me, and I look at her, and we both say, hey, this is what we strive for. We
Yeah.
put, the sleepless nights and this, that, the other for 3 to 4 years of shitty time,
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah.
So looking back at it, again, I've got zero regrets. So that's the one thing I will say to dads and moms alike. It's you know what? Don't follow stereotypes. Follow your gut,
Yeah.
and it'll all work out.
I love it. I love how you nicely wrap that up. So I love
I
it.
try. I try. I
No,
try.
no, that's amazing. And I know your boys, they're looking up to an amazing dad right now. And I know you're doing a lot of amazing work outside of your core 9 to 5 job, right? So it's a lot, right? But
Right.
I think I think it's also important to mention that irrespective being mom, dad,
Right.
when we join this journey of parenthood, we shouldn't lose ourselves in what we're passionate about and what we want to fulfill
Right.
in our lives, right? I mean, we all have goals and passions that we strive to achieve, and I think by us doing that, we're setting that example for our kids, right? Our kids
Right.
are looking up to us and they're seeing mom and dad doing these amazing things and being advocates and being, involved in so many community initiatives. And that's key, right? That's key
Huge.
for I think raising little humans that they
That's right. But
um, sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to add to your point, though. But
Yeah.
I just again, being in a kind of opinionated myself, I just feel like at the same point is, I think you really hit the nail on the head. Do not lose yourself. Do
Mhm.
not let that phase of life define you.
Mhm.
But I still think at the same point, you have to keep that pendulum relatively in the middle. Again,
Yeah.
my opinion, that because there are certain things you will have to kind of give up.
Yeah.
And it's not to, and I mean, I sometimes, I see like a lot of, parents now having kids are like, I'll never get to do that. And you know
That's
what?
not true.
That's not true. That's
Yeah.
really not true.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, look, it's like dating, for example, right? When we were dating at a younger age, you saw your friend, your friends are like, why can't I have a girlfriend, or why can't I have a boyfriend? But I think we all realize when it's going to happen and happen for the right reasons, let it happen organically,
Yeah.
right? So I just feel like there are very simple formulas of life, and I feel like it doesn't matter the stage that you're in. It's just that trust the process,
Yes.
and I mean, it'll work out.
Yeah, I think that's my new vibe these days is just trust the process, let things
Yes,
happen organically and naturally, and like stop stressing over the little things, right?
yep,
I think that we all need to look at the bigger picture and what's important to us, and so yeah, so I think that's key for sure.
for sure.
Um, Look, I think we could probably talk for like hours and hours on it. I know when we were on radio, we just, we go here, we'd go there, we'd go everywhere with our conversations. But I think it's just because we have so much on our minds and so much to talk about.
Right.
So I don't want this to be, this is the first, but I definitely don't want it to be the last conversation and chat we have. And hopefully the next time we can definitely meet in person and have a real sit down,
Yeah, for sure.
maybe with a stiff drink too next
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I'm down for that for sure.
So I just want to, again, I really want to thank you for being a part of this blog. This is just something I envision doing for my platform, and I'm really, like I said, I'm reaching out to moms, but I also want to reach out to dads and get their take on parenthood as well, and specifically focusing on dads of color and South Asian dads, and so yeah, we'll see where this goes. I'm sure after we wrap this one up, we'll probably chat offline and we'll say, oh, I wish we talked about this.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's just so much to talk about. So
Absolutely.
so let's promise each other that we'll do this again. And any last words before we sign off?
Yeah, a little selfish plug. March
Yes, go for
27th,
it. Yes.
starting a new endeavor on Ruckus Avenue Radio, Dash Radio out of California. Something that's definitely been kind of in the works for kind of a while. You kind of alluded to it. We had a brief stint together on radio. Left the local radio vibe here, starting something more on the international route. So download the app, on Dash Radio app, or streaming on your smartphones. I'll have Punjabi MC as my very first guest. Definitely excited about that. And yeah, you know what? Like you said, follow your passions, and it's one of those things that having great kids and a supportive wife, I'm still getting to do that. So March 27th, Cruise Control, brand new vibe. 14 years, I guess I've been doing something right on there. So tune in.
For sure, for sure. And I'm super proud of you for starting this new endeavor. I know it's something that I think you've been wanting to do for a really long time. So kudos to you to finally get this up and running.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure to tag all the socials so that people know where to connect and where to catch you.
For sure.
And thank you again. Thank you so much, Anuj. I really, really appreciate this.
No, I appreciate it. And you know what? I'm glad that you're having this platform for moms, but also, having dads, because I think it's a journey of a team. And even if it's not a team, even if you're a single mom or single dad, you could still do it too, because I'm proof of it, because my mom did it.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. So much love to you and your family. And thank you so much to everyone for joining us for the second vlog. So be sure to tune in. We'll probably have lots more coming your way. So thanks again, everyone.
Thank you. Cheers.